this will allow us to have the video available after the fact for people who maybe are not able to join in. So if you prefer not to have your image captured or whatnot, you can stay off camera. If as you join us and have a conversation, please do keep your microphones muted. It helps block out any background noise or ancillary conversations or whatnot. However, feel free to come off mute anytime you would like to have a conversation with us or maybe dig in a little bit deeper. Also, please feel free to make use of the chat feature. If you want to raise your hand, use a reaction, and we'll be monitoring that as Todd goes through our content today. So we'll kind of keep an eye on the background and make sure that if you have questions or raise your hand or whatnot, we will do our best to get to those as we move through the content today. So what I'm going to do is go on mute and turn the microphone over to Todd, who is going to dig in a little bit to what's happening with the Microsoft changes around nonprofit licensure. And Todd, I'll ask you to take it away.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Let me share my screen here so everyone can see this. Okay, so like Jennifer said, we're here. We're going to talk a little bit about the Microsoft licensing changes. I'm sure you've all heard that was coming down the pipe. There were emails. A lot of people were getting emails, and they had a lot of questions. So I've spent the last couple of weeks digging in and trying to find out as much information, as much specific information as I can about this. So I'm going to try to convey to you now what I have learned. So that being said, all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through just a little brief slideshow just to give you the download on what I've learned and what I've been able to pick up, and then we're just going to open the floor for questions, and we'll go from there. So with that said, we'll get into this. You all know who Apparo is. I have no doubt. I see some familiar faces here that I have worked with in the past. So you all know what we do. Again, regarding this or anything else, this is our tech therapy team. Is myself, Jennifer, Jerri, and Stephanie are also there. So feel free to reach out to any of us, with any follow-up questions about this or anything else for that matter. So we know there's changes coming to the Microsoft 365 licensing, and we know this is going to take effect on July 1st, 2025. So basically what they're doing is they are discontinuing the donated licenses for certain products. So up until now, Microsoft has offered a grant of 10 business premium licenses for free for nonprofits. Now, additional business premium licenses beyond those 10 have been provided at a cost of $5.50 per user per month. So what's going to happen now is that free part is going to go away. So all of the business premium licenses will be $5.50 per user per month. The first 10 all the way up. So license will expire. Here's the key phrase I want you to remember here, and this is where there was a lot of confusion right in the beginning. Licenses will expire upon renewal after July 1st, 2025. So let me explain what that means a little bit, because there was some misunderstanding. Because a lot of people they're paying, obviously you're paying your Microsoft licenses month to month. So, but if you go in your Microsoft portal and you look, you will see in your list of licenses, you will see the 10 business premium licenses. If you click on that, it will show you a subscription. It is a subscription. Even though it's paid monthly, it is a subscription. It'll show you a start date, and it'll show you a renewal date. That renewal date is the key, because you're going to retain those free licenses up until that renewal date hits. So if you are one of the fortunate ones where your renewal date is between now and July 1st, you're going to keep those free licenses for another whole year. If your renewal date is in September, you're going to keep those free licenses for a couple more months, and then you're going to have to transition. Now, what's going to happen is that subscription is going to expire. So that means those licenses will you'll no longer be able to use them. So what you will need to do is prior to that expiration date, and I recommend doing it just a few days before that expiration date, you're going to need to purchase a new subscription for however many free licenses you're currently using. So if you're using all 10 free licenses, you're going to have to purchase a subscription for 10 more paid licenses. Does that make sense? Did I say that right? So a lot of people were confused about, is it just going to automatically start charging me for it? No, it's not just going to automatically start charging you for it. Those licenses are indeed going to expire. So you will have to replace them. So at that point, then you have to start considering options. So you've been getting these 10 free licenses. So now you're going to have to pay for them. So now you're going to have to decide, do you want to continue to pay? Do you want to pay $5.50 a month and continue to use the business premium? Or are you going to be able to download to the business standard or possibly even the business basic, which is free? Business basic is free for up to 300 users. So most all of us we don't have that many users, so we would be covered there. Business standard is $3 a month. So it's roughly half the cost of business premium. So this is a good time to evaluate what your needs are, and then decide between the free and the paid plans. So this next slide, this shows you basically the differences between the three plans. The business basic, which is free, the business standard, $3 a month, and the business premium, which is $5.50 per month. So you see what you are gaining as you step up in licenses. The basic stuff is the same. The web and mobile apps, business email, OneDrive storage, Teams, SharePoint, that's all the same. As you can see here, the business basic, you do not get the desktop apps. You cannot download the desktop version of Office. For some people, that's a deal breaker. For other people, that's not a big deal. It's really a personal preference. Me personally, I prefer to use the desktop apps. I feel like they have better functionality than the online versions, but that's just me. That's my opinion. You can find plenty of other people that think the online versions are perfectly fine and they do everything they need to do. So that's going to be one consideration. Where the business premium really starts to stand out is if you look down at the bottom with your advanced security features. Now, if you decide to go away from the business premium and go down to the business standard or business basic, you're going to lose some security features. And that is something that you should consider before. So there's a lot of things you need to look at here. Do I need the desktop app? And do I want the security? So these are all things that you need to consider. So I broke it down a little bit further, and I know this slide is crowded, but basically these are the same licenses, but this is strictly the security aspect of it. Okay, this has got nothing to do with the desktop apps or anything. This is strictly the security aspect. So you can see how much of a difference there is between the standard and the premium as far as security goes. All these security tools come with it. And additionally, with the business premium, there's also the Intra ID P1 license that comes with that, which that's something that for a lot of you is probably not going to mean anything, but on the back end, it has a lot to do with logging and keeping track of usage, who's doing what and when, auditing and whatnot. So you give up that. So you give up quite a bit if you go down to the business standard or the business basic. So it's really up to you to figure out what your needs are, what you can live with, what you can live without, what's best for you, what's best for your organization. So basically what I tried to do here is I'm just trying to present all the options to you, give you as much information as I can so you can make an informed decision and figure out what's going to be best for you. So like I said, basically at this point, what you want to do is you want to start reviewing. Well, the first thing you want to do is figure out when that renewal date is going to be. So you figure out how much time you have. And then once you figure that out, then you're going to want to start reviewing your current licenses and renewal schedules, and you're going to start to assess your organization's needs. And you're going to start to decide, do I need the business premium? Do I need the desktop apps? Do all my do all my users need this? Because that's one of the big benefits of the Microsoft 365 suite is you can mix and match the licenses. So you can, if you decide you want to go that route, you could have two or three people on a business basic license. You could have two or three people on a business standard license, and you could have two or three people on a business premium license. You can divide it up any way that you want to. So then you're going to want to plan the transition carefully and assign your license. And then of course, you're going to need to communicate and train your staff, especially if there's going to be any changes. If you're going to stick with if you've got the business premium and you're going to stick with that, as far as the users are concerned, they're not going to see any difference whatsoever. So you're probably good. If you're going to start changing those licenses, you're going to need to communicate with your staff and make sure they understand what they are giving up or gaining, whichever the case may be. There's several places you can go for help. There's TechSoup has a transition hub for guidance. Most of you are probably aware TechSoup is where you can purchase nonprofit discounted software and hardware for nonprofits. They're heavily involved with the Microsoft nonprofit setup, and they have a transition hub that has a lot of information. Also, the Microsoft nonprofit portal. Honestly, the Microsoft portal, the Microsoft nonprofit portal doesn't have quite as much information specific to this change. It does have plenty of information regarding the differences between the licenses, but as far as this specific change, there's not. I would have liked to have seen a little more on there, but there's not. But TechSoup Transition Hub has everything you need to know and then some. So check out TechSoup's comparison resources. If you have an IT partner, a managed service provider, someone, definitely reach out to them for help or information. And of course, here at Apparo, you've got myself, Jennifer, Jerri, Stephanie, any of us are available. You can reach out to us for questions and we will do the best we can to help you out. So with that said, we're going to open the floor for any questions. We can talk about available options, clarify any doubts about next steps, anything you want to talk about. By all means, the floor is open.
Wow. That's all I can say. I mean, really, with all the stuff that's happening in our community around nonprofits, and this is just a horrible time for all of this. And I think if I'd known this um, was the end of this, I probably would not have migrated. I probably would have just stayed where I was. I just wish I'd have known this because at this time we're really at a potential growth opportunity. And I feel like we gotta stop and assess all of this, which I don't have time for. And at the time, we're being very conscientious about our budgeting. And now to have to, I don't know. I'm just a little put off a little bit by all of this, just to be honest with you.
It is. It
I
is
feel
a.
like I feel like it's somewhat of a setup. It's been a setup.
Well,
I kind of in the back of my mind, I said, at some point in time, this is not going to be free forever. But at the same time, it's like, you know, um, if that's up front, then I could have better assessed whether I wanted to migrate all of this stuff to Microsoft a year ago. That literally took a week for us. So, but hey, it is what it is. That's just what I want. So it's a little
it,
frustrating.
Hey,
yeah,
Todd, a quick question.
sure.
Are there any office packages that we could buy with a license instead of a subscription that would be a good substitute for this?
Yeah.
I don't think that I'll take that back. If you look on TechSoup, I think they still offer a standalone office package. I can't tell you that for a fact, but I think that they do. Um, and I don't know what the cost is, but so that may be an option.
Do you see any significant disadvantages to going from 365 to an install package?
Yes, I do. Because you're going to lose that web access. You're going to lose that ability to access your stuff from anywhere. Um, everything is going to be isolated. Everything's going to be isolated on your one computer.
Yeah,
Um,
if that's
so
your
honestly, that
Mhm.
I feel like that's probably not
chicken
a good
inside.
route to go. If you're a one person, if you're a one or two person organization, it might work just fine. If you're a little bit larger, I think you're probably going to run into some problems there.
Yeah, and in our case, we're storing everything on the OneDrive, so we could do the remote access and always close it and save it back to OneDrive. Would that mitigate your concern?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't see a significant advantage in doing that over just using the free business basic license.
Okay.
Unless
Okay.
you feel like you really need the desktop apps. Um,
Yeah, I'm sort of it's a bias to parrot you. It's a bias I have toward the desktop apps. I don't know that I truly need it, but it feels good to have them there.
so
Mhm.
yeah, if you're going to keep your business basic license and then um, buy the Microsoft Office suite on top of that, yeah, that would probably work for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
You would still have the OneDrive and all that.
Todd, I've got a quick question. So I've just checked my E1 licenses, which are
Mhm.
currently free. They've got a renewal date of what, 4/19/26. So from July 1, are we going to start being billed for that, or will it start being billed on renewal date?
I'm sorry, did you say 4/19/26?
Yeah.
Okay, the way it is written and the way I understand it is you're going to be good until that renewal date. Now, I didn't cover the E1 licenses. Honestly, I probably should have. I feel most of the organizations that I'm aware of are using the business premium, so I didn't get into the E1 licenses. Those are going to go away as well. Um,
Right.
so those would need to be replaced. I think the business premium is probably the closest to the E1 license, if I'm
Hey,
not mistaken.
Todd, we have an E2 license. Is it going away too?
E2, if I'm not mistaken, is already deprecated.
Okay. It's sitting out there. We're not using it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure E2 is already deprecated.
Okay.
Todd, Lori has a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Todd, this is, I guess, to jump off what somebody else asked. We have the Microsoft 365 Business Premium that expires on 1/15/26, and then one E1 license that's February 25th, 2026. So from what you're saying, we're free until those expiration dates. And do we need to just get a new subscription before those dates, or do we wait till the next July, I guess? And then are you also saying that E1 is going away, so we just need to replace that with something else?
Yes, that's correct. And yeah, you'll need to purchase that new subscription prior to that renewal date because as of that renewal date, your current licenses will expire.
They'll just go away. Okay.
I mean, they'll probably still show up in your portal. They just won't be active and you won't be able to use them.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys so much for this email because we got something like a year ago that mentioned our license were going away. We freaked out and we could not get anywhere with Microsoft. We just thought, oh, it's not anything. And then when the next thing came, we thought, oh, that's not anything. We already went through that. So it is obviously something. So thank you for putting this together.
Yeah, and I highly recommend TechSoup's resources. Their stuff is really detailed. It's got a lot of options. In fact, I've got a couple of documents that I've put together from some of their resources that I can make available to everyone, including that they did an hour-long webinar about the subject, and it's actually on YouTube. I can give you the link to that.
Mhm.
It's long, and you got to get through a lot, but they answer pretty much all the questions.
Todd, are you recommending that we renew through TechSoup or through Microsoft?
You'll renew through Microsoft.
Okay.
TechSoup does the nonprofit authorization for Microsoft, but you'll actually renew through Microsoft.
Okay.
If you're already approved and already set up as a nonprofit, you'll do it through Microsoft.
Got you. Thanks.
Katie has a question, Todd. Katie?
Yes. Hi. Todd, could you touch on the difference between, I'm trying to search back on our notes from when you and I talked last summer and you helped me set some of this up on the difference between the 365 E1 and
Mm.
the Business Basic. I have a feeling that maybe I was supposed to move everybody over from one to the other. I have one expiring this December, the E1, and then it looks like the others are good until next May for me. I'm just trying to figure out the difference between those two.
I don't remember the difference between the two licenses off the top of my head between the E1. Let's see, I had this table for, whoops. This is for Business Basic Standard. To the best of my recollection, the E1 is similar to the Business Premium.
Okay.
Paul, you have E1 licenses. Can you attest to that?
Yeah, just let me check that. I'm not sure
Yeah.
you get desktop with E1.
It may be closer to the Business Standard.
Yeah. Let me see if I can see it.
In the meantime, Lori has a question, Daryl, and then we'll get to you, Daryl, and Lynn and Egrid and Casey.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm we had Stephanie set this all up for us pre-COVID, and then we kind of lost touch with you guys because of COVID. If we go ahead and figure out what we think we need, can we reach out to Stephanie still and like run it by and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing?
Reach out to Todd.
Reach out to Todd. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's weird when I try to go in and look at the details on the E1 subscription, it's telling me it's not an eligible subscription. So that might be a part of this, that it's already started to block it. So I can't get the details.
Yeah, they closed one loophole. I started to advise one nonprofit because I actually checked this, and I think it was like right around June 1st. If you had enrolled and got it set up right then, you would be good for another year. But now they've closed that loophole. Anybody that gets set up between now and the 1st is gonna pay. And so yeah, it's probably why they're showing those E1s are not available.
Daryl, you had a question?
Yeah, who was next?
Yeah, I'm a technology derelict, so so I'm at the portal. I'm trying to figure out how do I find out what my dates are. I mean, I'm looking at it, says home co-pilot users, active users, and it goes billing. It says purchase surfaces. So how do I find out what my subscription deadlines are
I'll
or
tell
my
you.
renewal date?
Yeah, so it is under billing.
Give me just a
If you've
second.
got access to it, you should see your products.
Yep, got it. I clicked onto that and
Yeah, I was gonna pull it up here. Let me.
okay.
Lynn, we'll get to you here in just a moment.
Okay, yeah, renewal or expiration. Mine says, okay, Microsoft Business Premium. Oh, what is this? Okay, I see 4/5/2026, but that's for, okay, okay, I see. I think that's the main one, but I have something else on here. It says nonprofit portal staff pricing trial, and it says January 2031. I don't know what that is. And it says it's active.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about that. That's just it's not a license as such.
Okay.
See here, if you can see my screen, if you look under billing, your products, it shows you all the subscriptions that you have.
Okay.
You can see right here, you can see the business premium, the 10. You can see 12 right there. Those are additionals that we have. You can see the 10. Okay, this is the 10 free ones. See, it says donation right there.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Okay.
look at that one, you'll see right here the initial purchase date was 6/22/21. So it renews on 6/22/25. So we're lucky. We are very fortunate here at Apparo. We are good for another year.
Okay. Let me do that.
But that's the date you want to look at right there. That's the renewal date.
Okay. The renewal date. Okay.
Okay, then I guess I'm confused because if my renew date is January 15th, 2026, like who's not fortunate? Who, if it would be
Well, I
both.
mean, like if if your renewal date is like, early in July, then you're gonna have to start paying for it right away. You see what I'm
Oh,
saying? So
okay.
it's your renewal date after July 1st. When your renewal comes due, that's the point you have to start paying. So if your renewal date is July 15th, 2025, you're gonna have to start paying as of July 15th, 2025.
But isn't yours renew date if it's June 22nd, 2025? I feel like that's bad. Then on July 1st, you got to start paying.
No, we're before the July 1st cutoff. We
Oh,
just squeaked in before the July 1st cutoff. So it's your next renewal date after July 1st, 2025.
okay.
Okay. So mine says recurring billing, okay, renews on 4/5/2026. So we'll start paying after 4/5/2026. Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay, so we got a little bit of time.
you got it.
Okay.
Lynn, you had a question? You might be on mute. Let me see.
Well, while Lynn is working, so Todd, did you say if we do decide to renew, should we do that just before April the 5th, or that's not something we would do now then, right?
No, just do it just before
Okay.
April the 5th.
Okay.
I would
All
do
right.
it a few days a week, whatever.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Lynn, go for it.
Yeah, we have some on E3. Most of us are on the premium package. So should we update those that are on E3 to the premium package because they work remotely on their own laptops? And I'm thinking about, I don't know how secure they are.
E3. That's just a second here.
Casey and Ingrid, I see that you all both have questions. We'll cycle through in just a moment.
You wouldn't change your E3 license, Lynn. E3 is a paid license. That's a
Yeah,
different animal to what we're talking about here, which are the free versions.
yeah, that's
Your
what I was
E3,
thinking.
you need to keep that in place if that's what you're using currently.
Okay, but does it have the same security features as the premium?
E3's got much better security than the premium.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's right. Yeah, that's what I was trying to confirm. Yeah, the E3 is not part of the. I didn't think it was, but I wanted to make sure that it was not part of the nonprofit. So yeah, like Paul says, that's a completely separate animal.
Casey, you had a question?
I have two questions. And forgive me, I joined a couple minutes late, but one, what is there any chance it could just start charging us and we are using the same license, but we're just paying for it? Or do we actually have to go through a whole migration to a new license process? And then two, could you speak to how challenging it would be to move over to Google Workspace, which I think is free?
Okay, well, a couple of things. First of all, yes or no, it will not just automatically start charging. You'll have to purchase the new license. It's not that it's really not that big a deal. Once the license is purchased, you just click on the user and you change them from one license to another. It's just a click of a button. And you might have missed the part. You're still going to have the option for the business basic license, which is free, which gives you access to everything except the desktop version of the Office suite. So, excuse me, a migration over to Google could be done, depending on the size of your organization and everything. It could be, it's not an easy thing to do, but it can be done. But you do have, like I said, you do have the option to keep the free Microsoft Basic licenses.
And Google Workspace for nonprofits does typically carry a fee. Like that, if you go totally free, then essentially every staff has their own Google, and you may not want to go down that route. So there are some considerations that are worthwhile to get on your radar screen before you would make that choice.
Yeah, you definitely want to do an analysis of what's what, because I don't know the Google pricing off the top of my head, but I think it's pretty similar to Microsoft as far as the paid versions go.
Especially if you want to get into, you know, the ability to collaborate, security features, et cetera, et cetera.
And just to clarify, you said Microsoft Basic will still be free, but not Business Premium. Again, I would still have to buy it, or I would have to somehow migrate, like move licenses to
Yeah, you'll have to go in and you do it as if it was a purchase, but it shows 0 for the cost for the Business Basic. So you could purchase, you go in there and you purchase 10, 15, 20, however many Business Basic licenses you need. And you go through the whole process as if you were buying a subscription to Business Premium or something else, including the billing information and everything. But if you look, it shows the cost of 0. And then once you've purchased those licenses, it'll show up as a separate subscription under your licenses. And like I said, you pull up a user and you unclick one license and click on the other. And that assigns it. It doesn't interrupt their email or anything like that. It will, if you move from Business Premium to Business Basic, they will lose the ability to use the desktop apps. But other than that, it doesn't affect anything.
Ingrid, you had a question?
Yes. When we signed up for the free licenses, we had to set up our emails or our usernames as like our domain on Microsoft.com. If we migrate to this new license program, is it possible to not do that? Like, can we just use our original domain? We currently do all of our work through Google Suite. So I guess I'm just wondering if we can kind of clean that up, or if we need to keep that on Microsoft when we migrate over. And I'm not sure which we're going to do yet. We're probably going to be one of those people that has a mix of some people on the basic and some people using a premium version or one of the middle grade version.
Yes, you can. You can move your domain. You can associate your domain with Microsoft 365, regardless of your licensing. Doesn't matter which licensing you're using. So, in other words, your account could be your name at whatever your organization is .org, as opposed to on Microsoft.com. So, yes, that's doable regardless of the license.
Okay. And I also have the kind of, it's like the one that Daryl mentioned. It says that it's a trial version. It shows that I've got 3 of those set up at some point that were free versions. So I'm assuming that I guess my question is, because it looks like I'm set up in the original 365 admin center. So if I'm switching to this new version, will that go through the nonprofit portal, or can I still set it up through this original portal? Or do I still set it up through the original portal?
Yeah, assuming you have the nonprofit status already set up, yeah, you just continue to manage through the same portal you've been using.
Okay. So, and then to switch my username or our domain name, I can do that within this same portal. I don't have to set up a new user.
No, yeah, you can. You can do it within the
Okay.
same portal.
Okay.
There's a number of steps to it. It's not a super easy thing to do. It's not terribly complicated. It's not super easy, but yeah, you can do it that way.
Okay. Thank you.
Todd, do you do house calls?
Unfortunately, no.
or org calls?
We do tech therapy.
So what that means, Daryl, is, yes, we can offer some advice and guidance to help steer you through this process.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Reach out to, like I've been saying all along, reach out to us. We can set up a we can do a tech therapy and we can talk through some of this stuff. I can answer your questions and get you pointed in the right direction. Anything else? Anybody?
Yeah, just thank you guys for doing this. I mean, it's really, I mean, it would have been a nightmare otherwise. And, all of us nonprofits, I know that we're kind of at stress points and stuff going on. And transition is hard for us, especially large of this magnitude that deals with your communication and your, co-op stuff. So I really appreciate you guys doing this.
Well, the good news is, like I said, I'm happy to talk through it with you. It's not, it sounds a lot more dramatic than it really is.
Okay.
It sounds like it's a big major change, but it's really not that. From a cost standpoint, it's a little bit of a bite. But as far as the actual transition, it's not as complicated as it sounds. So yeah, and I'm going to try to set up. I'm gonna, like I said, I have information that I can send out to you that'll help, and we're always available for calls. So I mean, basically, when you break it down, worst case scenario, if you're using the 10 free business premium licenses that you've been getting for free, that's now going to cost you $55 a month. So, which, I mean, $55 is $55, but it's not a catastrophic thing. It's not this big major change. It is a financial bite, but other than that, it's not as complicated as it sounds. They make it sound a lot scarier than it is.
No, and I just want to add, we actually reached out to Microsoft and went down this rabbit hole and spent hours and hours and got nowhere. So this is so helpful just to let us know it's coming and what we need to do. So thank you.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah. But one thing, Jennifer's aware that sometimes we expand and we have kind of satellite or affiliate entities in other counties and stuff. Is it possible that we have the 10 business premium, or we may not even need all 10 because we're kind of a small entity? I was counting the number of staff who really need it. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I could do 6 business premium licenses, right? And then any affiliate, I can bring them under just the basic.
Yep.
Is that even possible to set
Absolutely.
that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest benefits of the Microsoft setup is you can mix and match those licenses any way you need. You can have 100 business basic and 2 business premium if you want. I mean, you can mix and match however it suits you.
Okay, and I can add new users at any time, right? Just add it, and they'll know that it'll just start charging me accordingly or whatever.
Well, you have to like purchase the licenses, but they sit there unassigned.
Okay.
So you're paying for whether the license is assigned to anyone or not. You're going to be paying for it.
Okay.
So it's a good idea to only buy what you need. You can always add another one, but you have to go in and manually add it each time.
Okay, manually add. Okay, so I could use the admin console and add a new name, and it'll guide me through what the purchasing process is and all that type of stuff, right? Or
yeah, it's not difficult. You just go back to that subscription page and you just add one to it, and goes through the process.
Hey, Todd, a quick question. I had read that Microsoft 365 is going to drop Publisher. Is that true?
I have not heard that. I do not know.
I read one of those Yahoo summary things. Said July next year they're going to discontinue Publisher, and we should migrate to something that would do what Publisher does, but that's not going to be there for us. I didn't know if that was being included or in the paid version or not.
Yeah, honestly, I do not know. I have not heard that.
Okay, just a heads up if it's true.
Lori has a question.
Yes, when Daryl brought up maybe not everybody needs these, I was thinking we only have 3 office staff that are really using the Microsoft suite of products. Then we have caregivers and drivers that really they just need email. What if somebody just needs email, what do I need to get for them?
That's where that business basic license comes in. That's that's the sweet spot for it is if you got somebody that just needs that all they really needs an email, that's your ticket right there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Daryl, for the idea.
No, way to go, Lori. And Rich seems pretty knowledgeable, so I want to become friends with Rich McKnight over there. He seems pretty knowledgeable.
And don't leave out Paul. Paul was adding some info in there too.
Oh, that Paul there, Paul Fisher. Okay.
Don't underestimate Paul.
Thanks.
I work for Red Wine and Smiles.
Oh.
So we got a few minutes left. Anything else that anybody would like to talk about? No?
And know that this is not your last opportunity, as we've mentioned a few times.
Yeah.
You know, you might need a minute to digest all this. Maybe you want to go check out the TechSoup resources. When we send a follow-up email, we'll make sure that the resources Todd mentioned are included. So, you know, have no fear if you need a moment to sort of think about this and digest the information. You can always come back to us and we'll be happy to help.
Give me just a second. I'll drop that link to the video, that YouTube video that I mentioned.
Can you put the TechSoup link in there as well, if you've got it, Andy?
Todd, do you want people to hit your link in the deck when we send it out, or are you all right?
That link
putting your email address in chat.
No, that link, the one that Paul just mentioned is in the deck. The one that I'm talking about is for the video that I mentioned. Excuse me, it is not in the deck.
No, I'm talking about your email address. You know, in our deck, we have a link that people can hit to email us.
Uh-huh.
So I'm asking, Rich is asking for your email. And my question to you is, hey, do we just want people to hit the link that's in the deck, or do we put your email address here in chat is what I'm asking you.
Yeah, no, in the deck. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So Rich, the links are live in the deck that we're going to send out. So you can just hit on that link and it will shoot an email over to Todd.
And I just put the link for the YouTube video. This was a webinar that TechSoup did last week, 2 weeks ago. It's just a little over an hour long. So
today, as you know,
and it's got plenty of information in it. Anything else? Jennifer, anything you think I should add?
I don't think so. I mean, I just will comment on Lori's remarks about the challenges of getting feedback from Microsoft. I wish I could say you're the only person we've heard that from, and it's unfortunate, but yeah, that we'll be happy to help you in any way that we can. And that's not to say that we always have the answers. Sometimes we have to say, oh, great question, and we have to go do a little bit of research, but you know, we're happy to help in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with Microsoft is everyone there is so siloed. If you get to the right person, you're going to get all the information that you can stand. Finding that right person can be a challenge.
They definitely have left hand, right hand syndrome. They don't know.
But if I look at the cost in general, I mean, if I got a Microsoft 365 on my own, it would be much more than $5 a month, though, wouldn't it? So
yeah.
I'm looking at it even with the 6 or 7 people that we're doing. It's still, I think, a cost savings for us. I mean, because to do it individually, it would have been way much, much more for probably not as much by way of the software. So
yeah, to put that in perspective, the regular price for the business premium license is $22.50.
Yeah.
So that is a substantial discount.
Yeah. So
Lori, you have another question? You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. When you brought up at Microsoft, I don't think we utilize you guys enough. And is this something we could reach out to you guys about? Anytime somebody gets a new phone in our business, we cannot get we can't get them linked up to to their email address. Like for some reason that happens. And also, just like even trying to change the admin on our business licenses and stuff. Like if we can't get through Microsoft, is that something we can reach out to you guys about and get support?
So we're not, I mean, I want to be very transparent. We're not like an IT support help desk. So, if you have a managed service provider like an IT support firm that helps you with setting up your machines and, hey, my printer doesn't work or somebody's computer went on the fritz, that's your best route. Now, what we can do, we do some tech project work, but it's not necessarily like an IT help desk, right? So you can always reach out to us and say, is this a thing that you can help with? And we can let you know, gosh, that's not really something we do. And we can refer you to other resources. But there's no harm in reaching out to ask, like, hey, can you guys do this? And we'll let you know if we can or cannot. Do you guys have an IT support firm that you work with?
No, you guys were it. You guys set us all up. You did the IT project, set us up, and then COVID hit, and then we worked with Stephanie and
yes,
with it Brad. I don't know the baby.
Stephanie and Ben.
Ben, yes.
Yeah. So we do, I mean, projects like that, like setting up a tenant and, maybe doing the Microsoft license audit, like those are paid tech initiatives that we do engage in. But what we don't do is like, typical help desk. Hey, our computer won't come up. Hey, we don't know how to make our printer work. Hey, how do we connect XYZ? Now, what we can do is connect you with some IT support providers who offer some pretty attractive pricing and who are available on the fly when stuff like that happens. So if that's something you want to dig into and know more about, let me know. I'll be happy to connect you with. It's our Expert Link network. If that's something you've heard of before, that's our network of service providers who provide services that are not in our wheelhouse, that we do not do. But we can connect you with experts that do look at that do look after those kinds of things.
So Jennifer, you could connect this with someone who could like expand our Wi-Fi services, for example. Yes. Because I have a few modems that's put together with like bubble gum and paper clips that we definitely could use some additional support with.
Yeah, shoot us an email and tell us what it is you're interested in. And then we can say, oh, yeah, that's an infrastructure thing that Todd can help you with. Or no, that's not something we do, but we can connect you with someone who will do it.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
But like Jennifer said, don't hesitate to ask a question. Even if it's not something we can do, we can oftentimes answer a question and at least point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're happy to do that. I mean, that is a key tenet of part of our services, right? It's information and referral to help who all the players are and, what kind of services they provide and that sort of thing. So, yeah, no harm in asking a question. If it's not something we look after, we can 9 out of 10 times connect you with someone who does provide those things.
I think I'm seeing an opportunity for myself when I retire.
For sure. Absolutely.
And I will tell you this. This here's my tip for the day. Do not underestimate the value of YouTube University.
Right.
Or also do not underestimate the value of ChatGPT or any other AI tool. It can answer a lot of these questions on how you do some of this stuff.
Very good point, Todd.
Just remember, don't necessarily take it as gospel just because it comes up, but it can definitely answer a lot of questions, and it can definitely help you, sometimes it can guide you step by step how to do something. So that's another valuable resource for you.
That is a great call. And if you're going to ask a question to an AI tool, ask it to a couple of tools and see if there's parity in the responses you get.
Yep. And ask your question very specifically, or as specifically as you possibly can.
Yeah, if you've been to one of our AI workshops, you've heard us talk about prompting matters. How you structure your prompt is important.
All right. Well,
So will you email this out, the video or the perfect? Thank
We'll
you.
shoot you a link to the recording as well as the resources that Todd mentioned. We will include that in the follow-up email. Any other questions?
we covered a lot here.
Well, in that case, we will call it a day. Be on the lookout for a follow-up email, and don't hesitate to reach out if there's anything that if you have a question, and we'll be happy to do our best to answer it for you.
Thanks,
so
Jen.
much.
Todd.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. Bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.